Hello geometry students. Today's learning target is to talk about the area of a sector. Before we do that, let's talk about the area of a circle. So the area of the circle is the space inside the circle, and the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. So in example number 1, if I know the radius is 5, I could say the area is pi r squared. I'll substitute the number 5 in for the radius, and doing that I'm going to get 25 pi. And like the previous lesson, on the SAT you typically will have something like 25 pi. Then when you use your calculator to get the decimal, you'll get 78.54. And area is always squared inches, so I'll say inches squared. If you were told, for instance, the diameter, say, is 30, then the radius would be 30 over 2, or 15. So if you wanted to find this area, you would say area is pi times 15 squared. That's going to be 225 pi units squared, and you could use your calculator if you needed the decimal. Today's learning target is to talk about the area of a sector. So I'm going to draw a sector here. A sector is simply a portion of a circle. So I'm going to draw this here, and this red shaded area is called a sector. I'm going to highlight this in pink. So if I wanted to find the area of that shaded section, it's similar to yesterday. We would take the angle, divide by 360, and then we would multiply by the area of the circle because we want a portion of the circle. So we're going to multiply by pi r squared. So if we look at example number 1, the diameter is 12. That means the radius is 6. So this radius is 6. Then the area of the sector would be 120 over 360 times pi times 6 squared. And I'm going to want both the SAT and the decimal approximation. So when we go to our calculator, I'm going to say 120 divide by 360. And then I'm going to multiply by 6 squared. So I get 12. So the exact area is 12 pi centimeters squared. Then to get the decimal, I'll go back to my calculator and I'll multiply by pi. So 37.70. Centimeters squared. So I'm going to want the exact answer here in yellow in terms of pi. I'm also going to want the decimal approximation that I highlighted in pink. If you want to pause the screen and try the next example on your own, please do so. Otherwise, follow the example in class. So here we know that the radius is 14 inches. So the area of the sector is equal to 114 divided by 360 times pi times the radius squared. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to say 114 divided by 360 times 14 squared. Notice it has a decimal, so I'm going to press the fraction button. So on the SAT, you will see 931 over 15 pi, and the units would be inches squared. Then I'll go back to my calculator and multiply that by pi to get the decimal approximation of 194.99. 194.99 inches squared. And the last example, we're told that the diameter is 15.5 feet. So if the diameter is 15.5 feet, the radius is half of that. Using my calculator, dividing that by 2, the radius is 7.75 feet. So 7.75 feet. The area of the sector, again, is the angle over 360 times pi times the radius squared. So on my calculator, I'll say 230 divide by 360 times 7.75 squared. Notice again I get a decimal. I'm going to press the fraction button. So on the SAT, you'll see 22103 divided by 576 pi as one of the choices. So the exact answer is 22103 over 576 pi, and the unit would be feet squared. Then when I go back to my calculator and use the pi button to get the decimal, I'll get 120.55. Feet squared. So I want us to practice the SAT, or the exact answer in terms of pi, which I'm highlighting in yellow, and then get the decimal approximation.